So you've created this incredible footwear company that keeps people connected to the earth. And it's at the forefront of really a revolution in shoes, which is beautiful, which is amazing. And I've been waiting this for a while since I got into grounding and earthing over, 12, 14 years ago. And tell us, like, how did you get involved in this?
Well, my husband and I are serial entrepreneurs. So we've been in and out of many companies and industries, but my passion is health and wellness. And I look for every way I can have since I was about 12 years old. So I followed your father and got his newsletters for a long time on heart health. And I started taking vitamin D before the doctors started recognizing
Mhm.
that was beneficial. And I was a runner, and I would run to support my eating habit. I've followed everything I can follow that teaches me about how to be well and active as long
Yeah,
as I live. And that's my goal is to stay active, to stay healthy, as you know, whether I live to be 70, 80, 90, 100, whatever it is.
150. Yeah, I get it. I mean, we have a very similar mantra, like whatever we can do to kind of upgrade our health and just keep ourselves functioning well. And I get it, and I've been there where I've been extremely sick and down for over a decade of my life and came back. So maintaining the health, getting it to the place you want it to be is critical. And yeah, like you, I've tried almost every modality out there. And when it comes down to it, we're talking about the ones that really are free, like putting your bare feet on the ground, like this image behind me. But when you can't do that, well, you got to be in shoes. So,
Well,
how
I'm
did
a
it start?
hiker. I converted from being a runner to being a hiker, and we have so many beautiful places in Colorado to hike. But
Sure.
I thought, wow, once I learned about grounding, all of the science about the benefits of grounding make perfect sense to me. We're all energy, and it makes sense that free electrons from the earth would balance out free radicals in your body and help you experience less inflammation. And um, so I was sold and wondered what I could do to create a shoe that would allow me to be grounded while I'm hiking. And I went to the A4M conference, met a woman who had started a grounding shoe company. And a year later, she came to me to see if I wanted to start a new one. We did. We got it up and running. I bought her out, and now we have Harmony.
And
And
what year was this roughly?
this was maybe 2018 when I went to
Mm.
A4M in Las Vegas, and then 2019 when we actually formed the company, and 2020 when we launched our
Because
first sales in November.
I would say that Harmony 783 was one of the first companies to hit the market with a real product that was a quality shoe, whereas before that it was just flip-flops.
Right.
Um, right. And I mean, there was some other companies kind of doing it. I don't think they understood that they were actually providing some grounding shoes, but you took the leap and jumped in there full on with, creating a really great product. And I love the shoes, by the way.
We're thrilled, and we're thrilled with your support. But I really wanted to have a grounding shoe that I could wear everywhere that I have my daily activities, where I'd be walking on a grounding surface. And, you're not going to be grounded in the side of building, walking on carpet or ceramic tile or wood. Wood is not grounding. But when you're outdoors and you're standing on grass or sand or bricks or concrete, dirt, hiking, climbing rocks, you are grounded in all of those circumstances. And we're all wearing these insulated shoes that have been developed for athletic activities and casual activities. And so, what I wanted to come up with is a line that would allow me to be grounded doing 90% of my daily activities. And that's what we've created. Lots of styles to cover lots of different places you might want to wear them.
Yeah, you came out with an incredible line across the board, and now you have like a hiking, running, hiking running shoe, boot, kind of. Yeah, and if you have some, we'll talk about it. But just real quick, like, so the existing shoe companies that pretty much provided footwear for the mass population, they were using what materials, and then what materials are you using that's creating this harmony, literally, with the earth and the electron transfer and et cetera? What's
So
the
a
difference?
typical shoe company, like Nike or Solomon or Merrill, they make a rubber-soled shoe with an EVA midsole that provides the cushioning, and then insoles made of various materials. All of those materials shield you from the energy of the earth. They're all insulating. So
Right.
while they might be cushy and comfortable while you're running, they're blocking the free flow of energy from the earth into your body. And one thing that really struck me is the growth in the diseases in the United States that were caused by inflammation. And inflammation, is generated from a lot of different sources, but one of them is being disconnected from the earth. Nobody goes around barefooted everywhere anymore. And, our environment doesn't really allow us to. So creating a shoe that would allow you to be grounded was a huge goal for me. Seeing that cancer is on the rise, heart disease is on the rise, diabetes is on the rise. We're coming up with ways to reduce the death rates from those diseases. The incidence of those diseases is growing and continues to grow.
There's like a specific chart that's actually in a research paper published by my father, myself, and my brother, and exactly what you're talking about, where you have this a timeline since the 50s where the mass adoption of rubber-soled shoes correlates kind of with all these inflammatory diseases you're talking about. And
Right.
yeah, that is, and can we make the claim that, hey, your shoes are making you sick? Yeah, in a way, we could say something like that, because or they're not keeping you healthy, or they're not allowing the body to do what it was designed intentionally to do, which was gather fuel from the earth to put out the inflammatory fire. So
Right.
so so you now have like carbonized components, rubber, silver, etc., that are embedded into the shoe technology that allows this transfer. You want to explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, I will explain it on our one of our shoes. This
I
is
love that
currently
shoe.
our best-selling shoe. It's called our black bamboo knit sneaker. And so the outsole, it has carbon infused into the rubber, and it has to be mixed just so with the right combination. So you don't want to put too much carbon in there because it takes away from the properties of the rubber that is soft and bendable.
Malleable. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what goes into our outsoles. Our midsoles, which is kind of hard to see on an all black shoe, but you can kind of see the line right here.
Hmm.
This area all through here is the midsole. And that midsole is made, well, we have a new technology making the midsole of conductive materials. But right now we put a loop of silver fabric under the ball of the foot here. And
Hmm.
so the silver is highly conductive and it's also antimicrobial. So the silver connects with the carbon fiber infused rubber. And then on the insole, we sew stitching of silver. If you see the stitching in our ballet flat, all that same stitching is in all of our shoes. Not only does it pick up the connection for you to go through your foot and then ground your whole body, it's also antimicrobial. So it kills, various germs and microorganisms. So that your shoes don't stink, which is an
That's another
awesome,
plus.
awesome
Yeah,
side benefit to silver. Uh,
absolutely. Now it's expensive though. I mean, these components using silver is obviously expensive. Carbon is probably even the same. What
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, right. I mean, if you want to go into that, go ahead. But I mean, you're dealing with a new technology, really,
right.
and putting this all together. And then, you do some testing to make sure each pair is conductive and so forth, right?
Right. So we test with the voltage meter at the factory and make sure that every shoe is conductive. Sometimes, even though they test for conductivity at the factory, a particular customer might get it and find that it doesn't ground for them. Uh, and there's lots of reasons that could happen. One, you have to be hydrated, and ideally your minerals balanced. Both of those
Hmm.
are elements of good health anyway. So you might find out that you're dehydrated or you're short on certain minerals if you find that you're not grounded when you wear grounded shoes. Um,
Yeah. If I got to say something about that, when I was really sick and I had hardly any hormones, that was the case because even when I was sleeping on, let's say, grounded sheets before the shoes came to market, I'd test myself and I wasn't even grounded. And I'm like, this isn't working. Yet, my father would come in the room, put his hand on there. He's like, I'm grounded. I'm like, well, I'm not. And it's because, at that point, yeah, you're actually the blood flow, the microcirculation in those capillaries and your endothelial function just isn't working that good. And that's why if somebody is sick or not well, it's critical to get grounded the best way you can. And what I would have to do is actually just put some moisture on my hand or my body or my feet before I touched a pad, a mat, etc. So, but the good news about the feet are they naturally perspire. I mean, they're designed that way, which is cool because then you've got this natural perspiration and that little bit of moisture and that little bit of salt and minerals coming through, touching the silver, therefore providing a better conductive environment, correct?
Correct, absolutely. And so we make awesome socks that contain silver as well, which are amazing, but they're expensive because the pure silver is an expensive product to weave into the knit of the socks. But wearing any kind of a natural material, cotton or wool, once it becomes moist, it's very conductive. It just takes a little time for people's feet to sweat enough that they get moist enough to be conductive in those socks.
Yeah. And I
So
and I love that you said they were awesome socks because they are awesome socks. And they're great because you can put them on and walk around the house, even when you can go outside if you just want to touch stone. Like it's freezing right now in Germany, so I'll put the socks on with the shoes, whereas usually I'm just the shoes, bare feet, like no socks.
right,
Um, but yeah, so that's kind of a really key component to use with the shoe. And yeah, they are fantastic. And just to mention, like you said, is it merino wool? Is that what it is?
merino wool is
Yep.
in our wool socks, and then organic cotton in our cotton socks. We don't make any synthetic socks.
Great.
So we make our socks in a very low cut, no show style that works with all of our lace up walking shoes. And every one of them has silver at the base that goes around the area of the ball of your foot. And that connects with the silver thread in our insoles and keeps you fully grounded and warm and comfortable. They're very
And
comfortable.
awesome. Yeah. And just awesome in general. So it keeps everybody awesome. The socks do. And yeah, yeah, they're really fantastic. And merino wool and organic cotton, they have such a high vibration in terms of clothing materials. There's actually a chart out there that says it's like linen is the top and then wool and then organic cotton, whereas on the other side, there's all these nylons and, other fabrics that just don't offer the same high vibration or conductivity. So I think that's a
Exactly.
really, yeah, key part. And then, the rest of the materials in the shoe, it's mostly leather. because I love the smell of those shoes. We talked about this last time. I love the smell of that leather. It just, I told you, it smells like those old, 70s, 80s Porsches that just, it's fantastic.
Yeah, this is one of the shoes I think you have, Step.
Yeah.
This is a great shoe because it's got wonderful tread on it and it's got the white midsole. And that's, very much in style these days. And then the really high quality black leather upper and cognac, the cognac trim, the welting on this, and the pull tab in the back, and the heel pad. This is
Hmm.
what makes these so incredibly comfortable and wearable for such long periods of time. But the leather is a very high quality leather. So we have this walker style in black and in white. And all of our shoes come with a choice of two different laces. So you receive two pairs of laces with your shoe when you buy it. And if you choose to, you can, change out all the time, or you can just change for the one that's your preference. And every style has different choices with it. But
Yeah. So those two you just showed are, yeah, they're my favorites. And that's actually the first model I put my feet in when you sent these to me, what, 4 years ago or something, 3, 4 years ago.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and I was blown away. Like I said, I took it out of the box. I'm like, oh, this smells fantastic. It just feels good. You can just tell it's made with quality materials. And then I was in Greece at that time, so I was walking up and down these stone paths into town, and I really put some kilometers on those, and they took a beating. They really did. I mean, I burned through three pairs of those in like 2 years. So they're they're fantastic. I really got to tell you. And you've got a lot more colors and styles now, and you just came out with this like it's not a green, an olive one. Do you have that right there?
yeah, the
Yeah.
olive green. And one of the things I wanted to point out, so with the olive green, this is a new walker style for us, just hit the shelves about 2 weeks ago. But this particular shoe comes with three different laces. It's laced up here with
Hmm.
a velvet lace, but it comes with this satin lace, which dresses it up in a different way. And then it also comes, I don't have it here with me, but it comes with this basic round lace as well that is exactly the same color as the shoe. So it gives you a lot of options for how you want to style the shoe, what you're wearing it with. But that's the case with every one of our shoes.
Yeah, you
And
can dress it up and dress it down. Even those the walkers, like the black one, you could throw a suit on that and you're cool. You're styling. It's awesome. And even the white one, just very applicable for any type of situation, which is, great.
yeah,
And yeah.
but we do use high quality materials. We are working towards greater sustainability in the materials that we're using, and we're hoping that by 2027 we'll have a shoe with fully sustainable materials. But one step in that process, these are made with a bamboo knit upper. We're working with a company that makes a wonderful natural vegetable sourced rubber. This is another one of our new styles. This is the Emerson
Nice.
style. It
Yeah.
comes in black and in cognac trim.
Hmm.
And these come with a matching gray lace as well. So they have the contrasting lace and they have the monochromatic lace as well that goes with them.
I
But
like
this
the
is
texture
made,
on that. Yeah.
yeah, it's really great. It's men and women both love it, and they equally love the black trim and the cognac trim. So it's
That's
been
sharp.
a
Yeah, I haven't tried those. I got to get some of those. And
yeah,
then yeah, you also have the hiking boot now, right?
right.
And
So this is another new one for us. This is
mm,
called our Jessie High Top hiking boot. Um, and this is an oiled leather that it's made with, and a mesh material in the black areas. Great for hiking and climbing mountains and navigating rocks and things like that that you will find on a tough trail.
Or the
We have,
snow. I mean, if you're in the
yeah,
snow, you're
well,
gonna
the
most likely conduct, right? I mean,
right. This
and it's
has
got some
great
good tread.
traction. Yeah,
Yep.
big heavy
It
tread, really comfortable, and people are loving this shoe. We're
is
having,
is it still with that carbonized sole?
yes,
Yeah.
this one
Okay.
is still with the carbonized outsole, and it comes with, um,
My sister says that's a game changer, by the way. I have to agree. Yeah.
yeah, these are wonderful. And then we have our other regular trail shoes. We make that colorway. This is called our Taylor trail shoe in the gray and blue.
Hmm.
Same sole, great tread, super comfortable and lightweight. This is the one thing people comment on all the time with our shoes is that they're really lightweight compared to what they look like. I mean, they look like they might be heavier, but they're very lightweight. And this one is another of our trail shoe, very popular. This one's called the Dakota.
The
Uh,
Dakota. I haven't seen that one before. Okay. That's nice. Yeah.
yeah,
It looks like it has, does the rubber come up a little bit higher there not on the toe, not really. Oh, there. Okay, I can see it now. Yeah. I see how the texture and the context is.
yeah,
Okay, that's the Dakota.
yeah. So we have the extra coating on the toe and the heel for protecting you from, you know, the the
The
dangers of
elements.
hitting sharp rocks.
That's a solid lineup you just showed us. I mean, you probably got some more in there too, of course, but it's
Yeah.
like you're the wizard behind creating all these incredible styles and embedding this technology into this. Where I mean, people always want to know where shoes are made, and we know that 90+% is usually in China because that's where the production is. That's the materials. That's just historically how it's been, obviously for cost breakdown. But I know you've transitioned away from that type of situation. You're going into other places, right?
Well, you're absolutely right. In the United States in the 70s, we had many, many, many shoe factories here in the
Hmm.
United States. In the Northeast, in the Boston area, there was a real concentration of high quality shoe manufacturing companies. And with the opening of China and the transition to China, over 80% of the world's shoe production moved to China. And so they now have the greatest variety of materials and
Hmm.
accessories to choose from. And the little details that make up a shoe, like on ours, we have a little 783. I don't know
Icon
if you can
badge.
see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever that is called.
So we are moving production in order to improve delivery and reduce cost, will reduce our import tariffs. The
Hmm.
actual shoemaking cost is higher, but we're moving to Portugal and to Mexico with our styles. And that's in process now. And it's been a very challenging transition because neither Portugal nor Mexico has the variety of material choices. So to match what we're already making in China is very difficult. And they're both ramping up to try to compete on a better level. It'll take a while, and we're patiently working with a manufacturer in Mexico and one in Portugal. And by next year, over half of our shoes will be made outside of China, and in 2 years, perhaps all of them will be made.
That's nice. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a big plus. I really do. So I know it's a lot of work. It's got to be, a little more challenging, but I think it's really nice. And then, speaking of those challenges, I mean, what are some of the other hurdles you've had to overcome, like running a company that is pushing the envelope on something that's new and challenging the status quo and breaking the frontier here. I mean, what do you encounter with this?
Well, the first thing we encountered is that, the need to educate people about the grounding. So we've tried to keep our price points in line with other manufacturers that make great quality shoes that are not grounded. We have a whole line of sandals and flip-flops that we make as well. But, we make all of our shoes are grounded and none of their shoes are grounded. So
Right.
our costs are higher. And so we have to operate with slimmer margins in order to compete. And we're so grateful for our customers who have been really loyal to us. And the word is getting out. More and more people are learning about grounding. And we can have a surge in sales on one day and have no idea why it happened. And then we find out that somebody on a podcast mentioned grounding for 10 seconds in an hour and 30-minute podcast. And people look it up, they find out what all the benefits are, and then they search for grounded shoes. And we've had some competitors come up, but some of the alternate technologies involve copper. Copper is
Hmm.
not as long lasting a material as silver is for grounding. So, um, our shoes, the ones that we made in the very beginning, are still grounding just like they were when we first made them. And I would venture that copper probably wouldn't last that long holding the grounding properties. The metal is not as stable as the silver is.
Hmm.
So, and stainless steel is grounding. You
Yeah.
ground with stainless steel. It's slightly cheaper, but it doesn't have the microbial impact that our silver does.
What about tarnishing? Do they tarnish at all or get oxidized? Anything like this?
No, we haven't found that at all.
Hmm.
The one thing that can happen is, soil buildup. If you wear your shoes barefoot all the time and you had
Hmm.
just a little bit of dirt on the bottom of your foot, time and time and time again, you might cover up the silver thread.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea to wipe them out every now and then. But we haven't found that the tarnishing, you might look at the color of it and say,
Hmm.
well, that looks kind of tarnished,
Yeah.
but it doesn't impact its function as a,
So it doesn't change the conductivity, even if it gets a little bit worn, it's still good. I
no,
mean, we're dealing with, precious metals here, so this isn't some, polyurethane product or whatever that is also off-gassing and maybe leaching toxic stuff into your feet. I mean,
right.
this, silver is actually good to get into the body on for many levels. So yeah, it's got benefits across the board in terms of the styles and anything you're coming out with next or you have on the horizon over the next few years, or do you want to just keep that under wraps?
Well, I will say that one of our goals is to come out with the golf shoe line.
Ah,
We
cool.
have, I try to create shoes that you can wear to places where you'll really be grounded and experience the benefits on a long-term basis. So one of those places is in the snow. So
I thought you
snow,
were going to say a ski boot.
yeah,
Yeah, the
well,
snow
I wish
ski.
I could do
Yeah.
a ski boot, but I'd have to get through the binding and the ski as well.
Uh-huh. I thought we thought about that. Yeah, I mean, but this lends to the Colorado background where you are and providing that for the outdoor enthusiasts like myself. I mean, I want this stuff, so I'm maybe I'm pushing you.
But one
Yeah.
of our best customers is a ski instructor in Aspen, and she just swears by our this sole. So
Hmm.
we make a number of styles of booties in this sole, and they're so warm. She wears them to and from her locker every day during the ski season, and she
Hmm.
doesn't slip and fall. She's warm, she's comfortable, and she's grounded. So
Yeah.
she loves them for that. So they're a good pre-ski and post-ski, après-ski.
They're a great après ski. Get your grounded on while you're having a drink after skiing. Yeah,
By the
that's awesome. And then
fireplace outside.
yeah, fabulous. So you can be grounded. If you're not grounded skiing, well, at least you get it on the end of the day by the fire.
That's right.
You know, I had a thought. I want to circle back to the toxicity we were talking about. In if you look at the image behind me again, we don't know if those bare feet are touching pesticides, herbicides, et cetera, that's on grass. And I remember growing up, we lived in Connecticut, and all the lawns out there were looked like, manicured, really nice and clean. And then there's ours, which is kind of overgrown and the grass doesn't look as green. But my father refused to spray that stuff, and I love him for it, And he's like, no, I'm not getting our dogs on these toxic chemicals or our feet. But it's so prevalent everywhere, even in parks or everywhere you go. So I'm mindful of that. And if I see that it's just too good to be true, that grass, I'm not putting my bare feet on there. And that's why we need the shoes. So that's one example, right?
That's a perfect example, Step. It really,
Hmm.
it really is. And um, if you're on your own lawn, then you can have some control. But most of us are on somebody else's lawn or a park, public space, and you have no idea what's in that grass.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, even
so,
where I travel and you go to these places like, Greece or you're in Italy stuff. And, occasionally, let's say you're at a hotel and you think it looks really clean. You're walking around, there's like, okay. And then you see some guy spraying insecticide on all the sidewalks in the corner or the trees. And I'm like, oh, man. And you're getting that permeating your skin if you're walking barefoot to the pool. Like,
right,
right. So
right,
all these little things that sometimes you don't see, well, that's when, hey, you want the sandals because then you're going to protect yourself from that. And then, we can use this example and segue into the other gnarly stuff that you can encounter when you're there. You go. Great. The
yeah.
solution
So
is there.
this is our platinum knit. If you
Hmm.
can see, it's actually quite sparkly, but not overbearingly so. But this
It's
is one
elegant.
of our flip flops that's very comfortable and secure to wear to the pool, as you're explaining. We also have simple, one layer flip flops, and we have flip flops that have a conductive plug in them as well to just take with you. And even in hotel rooms, Step, that's what I take my flip flops
Mm.
with me to every hotel room because I don't want to put my feet on the carpet or
Or
the
those
floor.
floors. Yeah, I mean, they clean that stuff every day with chemicals and stuff to keep it looking sharp and smelling
Right.
fresh.
And to
Yeah,
keep the insects away. And
exactly. Yep. And the feet are designed actually to pull in those toxins up into the body, unfortunately.
yeah,
But that's why they bring in the good things too, and we have to be mindful of it. So, you know, also, what else is there out there? I mean, I started wearing I was used to walk a lot barefoot all the time, but then I cut my feet so many times. I stepped on bees, rocks. I mean, my brother once had a nail almost go through his foot. So yeah, we were so happy when you created this and the movement is taking place because and sometimes your feet are freezing cold and I would still want to be grounded in the winter and now it's like, oh, thankfully we've got this solution to do, and especially in the winter you're inside all day long and you're not getting that ground time that you need your daily ground time.
right.
So yeah, the winter is a great time to be in the shoes and the boots then, and I find I just feel so much better when I'm doing it.
Well, and even in walking in the sand along the beach in the summertime,
Hmm.
um, what you might find in that sand is very unpleasant. So having our flip flops on while you're walking on the sand is highly beneficial as well. But I agree with you. I like to go outside and walk and hike, and so I've got shoes in our line for all those purposes. I mean, we have everything from the ballet flat and the sandals and flip-flops to, you know, the hiking boot. And
Yeah.
we have men's driver, which are a great classic looking shoe made with really beautiful leathers. We have that in cognac and black. And
You have a
so,
solution for it all.
what's that?
You have a
Oh,
solution for it all, every
yeah,
occasion and situation.
right.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
that super important. So, so, so like you said, like what's next? Okay, you've got some other stuff coming online. The golf shoe could be incredible. I mean, if you think about it, you're out golfing for, 4 hours sometimes, you're doing 18 holes. That's the perfect time to get all your grounding in. And
exactly. So, a
yeah,
lot of our
yeah,
customers already wear our shoes for golfing. And, you know, it
I
just
did.
depends on how particular you are and how professional a golfer you are. You know,
Mm,
there's so many people who are just a weekend golfer, and
yeah, but still, it's a great time to get it. And then you know what else I've been doing lately, Pam, is I really got on the 10,000 steps a day program just because that was the research was around that number that came out with so many benefits if you just walk 10,000 steps across the board. And I'm like,
right.
well, if you're going to walk 10,000 steps, you might as well throw grounding into the mix and get like a double triple benefit. Yet nobody's talking about it. So it's
Yeah,
like, okay, yeah, let's run the study that they're doing 10,000 steps and then run the same study that they're doing it grounded, and we'll probably be blown away on the benefits.
that's a great idea. One of
Yeah.
the things that one of our goals for 2025 is to complete at least one research study on our shoes and the benefits of them. So there's lots of studies on grounding that show great evidence of the benefits of grounding in general. But we want to do a study using our shoes. And that's a perfect example of what we might consider doing is the 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
why not be grounded? You know, we have several different styles that you could wear for your 10,000 steps,
Mm,
but you have to be walking those on grounded surfaces.
yeah, right. Now, do you have any insight? This is kind of a wild question, actually. Obviously, we know walking out in nature is the best, right? You're in the forest, you're on the trails, you're in Colorado. Now, any difference between being grounded, let's say you're walking through an airport terminal or you're in an urban area and there may be a little bit more surface charge that could be a little more ecstatic. Has this ever come up in any discussions or anybody ever mentioned this? Because I recently just had this talk with somebody last week.
Um, in terms of electromagnetic energy being grounded into the earth from a big building or a whole city full of big buildings, therefore changing the electrical flow of the ground in that area. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, something like that. I think that, look, the human body was designed to be connected to the earth from the feet. I mean, it just is designed that way. We know from the meridians, especially the K1 point, so the energy can flow, the electrons can come up. I mean, we've got to think that if we're in that in any environment, the body is smart and intelligent enough to regulate itself. And once again, we just need to give it that fuel. And it's critical. It really is
Yeah,
these days. Yeah.
absolutely. And, you know, my view is if I have the option to buy a pair of grounded shoes versus non grounded shoes, I will buy the grounded shoes hands down every time.
Oh,
Um,
100%. I mean, like, yeah, I threw away all my other old shoes, like the nice Italian leathers and the stuff I bought in Florence that were handmade for me that I spent a ton of money on. They just went on the trash because I don't want to wear them. I want to be grounded. And
yeah,
and that's it.
well, that's smart. You know, one of the things, you know, some people ask is, isn't leather conductive? And the answer is yes. You know, a layer of leather or maybe even two layers of leather together would be conductive. What makes a leather shoe sole not conductive is the adhesive. They have to glue
Mm,
those layers of leather together. or a leather soled shoe. And so that's what makes a leather soled shoe insulating and insulating you from the benefits of the free electrons of the earth.
Hmm.
So if you're wearing just a moccasin with, a single layer of leather, you would be grounded. But
Right.
most people don't want to wear a single layer of leather on their feet for all their activities. So,
Yeah,
uh,
especially if you're running through the woods or you're on those trails in Colorado, you've got those sharp rocks, or in Greece, like, yeah, you want that protection. And that's what I've totally learned.
yeah.
Um,
Well, and you want a good arch support, you want a good heel support. We have customers who have, had ankle injuries that swear by our ankle boots, that whether
mm,
it's psychological or not, they feel very supported in our ankle boots. So I'm excited about what we are providing now, and I look forward to adding some more styles. We're hoping to come up with some more men's styles and women's styles in, maybe some dressier heeled looks. But right now, we just want to do a good job of producing the variety of styles we have and getting our production system under control with moving out of China.
good move.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, you've got a full lineup. You just showed some of the stuff, but there's a lot more. And then there's more
right.
coming online. I'm excited about the golf shoe. Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get my mother in that because I'm like, Mom, here you go. You can be grounded for those 4 hours instead of just sitting around, disconnected, soaking up some, EMF from the golf cart, whatever. And you can finally discharge all this stuff and be out there. So, Pam, I think I love what you're doing, and you've alone just and your company have really escalated the whole movement and created this more of this market. And the demand is growing, we know, because the awareness of grounding is going. We've got more studies coming out. At some point, I want to write another book about it. I can't wait and keep
Yeah.
educating. So it's like, yeah, it's like the educating you said, and do more studies. I mean, we're still learning really how what is happening at the body in terms of an electrical perspective beyond, increased blood flow or increased zeta potential or reduced blood viscosity, vagal nerve tone improvement, HRV, cortisol, et cetera. I mean, the benefits are there with the studies that I just rattled off, but there's so much more that we're going to expose what grounding's doing as time goes on. And I think you agree.
I completely
So
agree. And that's why I know that you're working towards doing more research, and I'd like to collaborate with you because we want to do research on our shoes to make the direct connection for our customers that these are real benefits that you will get by wearing our shoes. Um,
yeah,
but I think, being grounded in general, a lot of coaches now ask their team members to try to be grounded for 20 minutes a day. And, you don't have to have any devices to be grounded. You can go outside and stand in dirt, stand in grass, and be grounded in your bare feet. But that's not easy for everybody to do. And um, most studies seem to show that you need to be grounded for at least 20 minutes for it to start to show some benefit for you.
I think it was a great discussion. Looking forward to more. Thanks for sharing everything. It's a beautiful story, wonderful company, and great products. And I'm due for another pair. I'm just letting you know. So I'm gonna get some going here. All
All
right.
right. All
All
right.
right.
Well, we appreciate your support, and I always learn something every time I talk to you, Step. So much
Thanks,
fun.
Pam. Let's do it again. All right.
Okay.
Great. See ya.
Bye bye.